Assalamu alaikum and peace. This is Imam Malik Mujahid, and thank you so much for watching Muslim Network TV. As you know, we broadcast on Muslim Network TV on Galaxy 19 satellite, which covers coast to coast, United States of America and Canada and Mexico, north south, fully covered. 57 million subscribers there. And we are on OTT devices, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. And you can always download us in your own phone. We can live in your phone. So if you have iPhone or Android phone, you can download our app. It is simply type Muslim Network TV and it will be there and you download it. And we are on the website muslimnetwork.tv, always there. It's a 24/7 program. And today we'll be talking about year 2020. It's gone. Oh, I don't know how we're going to remember all of that. So we'll have a show today and we will have a show tomorrow. And we will be talking about 2020. Tomorrow we'll talk about the pandemic and the heroes during that. But today we want to talk about elections and Muslim activism, freedom struggles around the world and minorities, how they're doing. So we'll cover a wide spectrum of issues in review of 2020. It has been my professor will use the term interesting in very interesting ways. It could go in the good side or the bad side. Well, 2020 is interesting year. And I would, to discuss that with me are two people, Mustafaa, Carroll. Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Wa alaikum salam.
All right. Mustafaa Carroll is a Texan. I don't know how strong Texan he is, but he controls Muslims there through Council of Islamic Organization of, not Council of Islamic Organization, Council of Islamic American Relations, CARE. I mean, CARE is much more known than their full name.
Yeah.
So, pardon me, my missing that. And he has been director now based in Dallas, but in Dallas as well as in Houston. And eventually we will have Hena Zuberi joining us as well. Oh, she's here. All right. Hena Zuberi, welcome. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
Hena Zuberi is the director of Justice for All, and she's editor-in-chief of Muslim Network. Editor-in-chief of Muslim Network TV, not a bad idea. She is editor-in-chief of Muslim Matters, and she is also a host of Justice for All Now show on Muslim Network TV. So let me start talking about what are the 2-3 good things which you can see from Muslim perspective which happened in 2020?
Who are you asking?
Wow, nobody wants to answer that. Well, I will count launch of Muslim Network TV.
Yeah.
No, this is a major milestone in American Muslim history, and we're looking really forward to tomorrow's show where much more will be explained on this major milestone. Americans need their own media. This is something American Muslims need, their own media, somewhere where they can have their narrative not be censored, and are free to discuss issues that are important to us, and show ourselves to the rest of the American public. So definitely, congratulations.
Important to us and important to America and important to the world. I mean, I remember this lady after 9/11. I used to pick up Sound Vision phones once in a while, and she called me. She was from Tennessee, in Southern accent, very calm and collected lady. He said, "Hey, I'm not a Muslim. Is it okay you want to talk?" I said, "Of course." You know. She picked up somehow her number from a mosque there. And she said, what channel should I tune into to learn about Islam and Muslim?
Mm.
Well, what do you think my answer was? I say, I'm sorry, ma'am, we don't have a television channel to switch to. And this is, she paused for a moment, which looked very long to me now.
Mm.
And she said, how then you expect America to know about you, Islam and Muslims? And so it's a thing to Muslim community. Finally, Muslims who do not have a paper reaching all America, who do not have a radio reaching all America, but we have a Muslim network TV, not only reaching all America, but Canada and Mexico as well. Don't you think the no Muslim ban ever, the resolution passed in the House also was something positive?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, and that's just one of the things. And one of the things that I see that we need to do, if we haven't, is that I think that Muslims are becoming more aware politically, and hopefully that'll lead to some semblances of unity in terms of unity of purpose. Not so much, you know, we don't need to talk religion, but in terms of what we need in this society, and then in joining in activities and things that have been going on. For example, you know, we've been talking about a Muslim network TV. Well, I was on the board of Al Baina Productions back in the day, probably back in the 80s, with Imam Ibrahim Kamaluddin, who had one of the first shows on PBS. And he used to give all kinds of information and interviews to politicians, and we were part of that. And I think what happens is that the Muslim community is so disjointed that we don't know what's going on between communities. And we've had, if you look at the American Muslim Journal, the Muslim Journal has been coming out. It evolved to the Muslim Journal, but after Imam Muhammad came on the scene. But it was before, it was with The Nation, and then it went to Bilalian News, and it went to American Muslim Mission, and now it's a Muslim Journal, and it's one of the oldest things that we have, periodicals that we have, but we haven't really leveraged the diversity of the community to make it a national paper where everybody got it. And so there's a lot of things that has to be done to actually make it that way, or join with other people to do it. But those are some of the things that I see on the horizon, and I see it happening. I think that we're going to have a generation of folks who are coming along who are actually going to connect those dots.
Definitely. I'd like to say that, well, Aisha Mustafa is our latest board member for Justice for All. She's the editor-in-chief of Muslim. But these dots are being connected. And one of the, I just heard recently that CARE awarded Muslim Anti-Racism Collaborative as the organization of the year, and that was superb. Like that, those connections that you're talking about, that's really, they are being connected.
I'm seeing it every day. I'm seeing it. It's just there's a generation of folks that's coming along that I think it's really having some we're seeing it happen with that group, or within that group, that people are beginning to put those things together.
Yeah.
So
the journal probably is the longest lasting and is still there publication by Muslims in our country. It's a weekly publication. Used to be printed down the alley from me here.
Oh yeah, you're here in Chicago. So yeah, it was. You're right.
Aisha Mustafa was among the original host of Radio Islam, the only daily radio Muslim ever had in this country, which is now rolled into the Muslim Network TV. But talking about no Muslim ban, I was looking into it. While it is good that it was passed, only 2 Republicans voted in support of it.
Well,
just 2.
I'm shocked. You know, I don't know what has happened to that party, but I think with the current administration, they just reached a zenith in xenophobia and everything else. I mean, it takes me back to the early years during the 60s and the 50s where, the same thing was happening in the African-American community and in the Hispanic communities. These things we're just recycling the same stuff. So I'm not really shocked that they didn't, only 2 people voted for it, just given the what I've seen with the party.
Another thing which came out just in the beginning of December was the Supreme Court. A conservative Supreme Court actually ruled on December 10th this year in favor of 3 Muslim men who were on the no-fly list because they refused to become an informant.
Wow.
They were put on no-fly list because they don't want to become FBI agent. And so Supreme Court says you can sue those FBI agents. That I think, while the Trump administration, of course, was saying that they cannot be sued, don't you think it's a milestone in itself?
I think it's about time. They should have been able to sue them. And when we have told people for years that, the FBI is doing a job. I have no issue with that. What I do have an issue with is how they coerce Muslims to do stuff that they haven't done with any other group. You don't see them doing it with the Aryan Brotherhood, and they don't go to people's churches and ask them who do they know and all this type of thing. What's their favorite verse in the Bible or anything? And Muslims have been, I think we're over accommodating, and I'm trying to be nice now. But I think we're over accommodating with the FBI and those agencies because I've been here all my life. They never came to me for nothing. And I doubt that they would unless I gave them reason to. But they go to innocent Muslims and pressure them into doing things or and if they don't do it, then they'll put them on no-fly. I even know people whose family members that they have been married for 2 or 3 years can't come over here because of that. They won't even allow that to happen. So I'm happy to see that at least there's been a Supreme Court ruling on it.
I'd like to comment on that, Imam. So this case is a victory for advocacy. It took 7 years of advocacy for Tanzeen and Tanweer, that case that came before the Supreme Court. And it was done by Clear NYU with many law school students giving hours of their time to these cases. It was done by nonprofit at CUNY. So this is, I just want to reiterate that this was a win, not just because of the Supreme Court, but because of these superb advocates who put their time and effort in 7 years of their lives.
I think that these 3 people, as well as those people who put 7 years of their life, they are heroes. They need to be celebrated. They need to be invited to event. And instead of every event has the same sheikh with the same beard showing up. These are the people who are
Absolutely, they should be given some attention.
Yeah, I hope our producers are noting it. These 3 people and people who fought for them, they deserve a substantial. Especially because Muslims don't fight. The Muslims are too ready to give up. Whole judicial system is available, and I beg people. I remember a sister who was in a major, I cannot give out her name without her consent, but in a major television network. She was interning and was found offering salat in her own time. She was escorted by gun-holding guards out. And I said, I will pay for it. Though I'm a very poor person, but I know both of you will give some money to fight these things. And she didn't fight. She said, no, my professor says if I'm going to fight, I will never be able to find a job in the media.
You know,
I mean, the Muslims don't fight. I remember, and there is a cost to fighting. I mean, these people fought and won, and I hope another person will go and fight. I knew him because when I'm giving Friday sermon, he'll be sitting right in front row, and he was, for a while I didn't see him. I don't know where he is, what's happening with him, and then nothing particular. But you become familiar with faces who are sitting right in front of you when you're giving a sermon. So after a lot of time, I saw him there. So from the member, I gesture him to stay put, and I asked him, "Where were you?" I thought he went overseas or something. You know what he told me? "Oh, brother, I went for Umrah, and when I came back, FBI at the airport told me to become their informer." And I said, if I know something, I will myself inform, but I don't want to become an informer. And you know what they did? They already had an informer in his business. That informer created a false invoice of $3,000, and he was taken to the court, and he was punished for 2-year imprisonment for creating that $3,000 invoice on money laundering charges. And guess what? The jury was not allowed to hear that was the FBI informant who faked that, because it was a secret evidence. So you see what type of mess it is? But what about filing a major lawsuit on these people, that how come you destroy a life? And I later on learned the brother had about 7 or 8 girls, small girls at his home, and mother was left alone. I felt so bad. His whole business got destroyed. I found him, last time I saw him, he was selling dates at ISNA convention. A guy who had a huge business, he was reduced to that level. I don't see him anymore. I don't know whether he left the country and things of this nature. But this Supreme Court thing, I thought was a thing, and I agree with you. Those 3 people who fought for it, and those people who 7-year struggle for it, they deserve our respect and our honor. And if I fail to honor them, I hope 2 of you who are great leaders of the Muslim Ummah, you will figure out some way of honoring these people, inshallah. This is Imam Malik Mujahid, and I'm talking with Hena Zuberi and Mustafaa Carroll, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My friends, my brothers and sisters, I'm excited to invite you to an action-packed night on December 31st at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, to an event called Broadcasting Muslims by Muslim Network TV. Yes, Broadcasting Muslims. We are talking about putting Muslims on air. We're talking about showcasing their stories and telling their stories and building their narrative. Yes, we are talking about centering the absent voices, often absent voices from the mainstream media. So please join me on December 31st on Muslim Network TV by Sound Vision at 8 p.m. Eastern. You can join us and RSVP for this incredible evening of inspiration as well as fundraising for North America's only Muslim channel today. So please make sure you join us and go ahead and RSVP by going to muslimnetwork.tv/broadcast. muslimnetwork.tv/broadcast. I look forward to seeing you all, inshallah, on that memorable night, along with incredible people like Omar Reagan, Hena Zuberi, Imam Malik Mujahid. We're talking about Poonam Muhammad, and there's so many other wonderful people from our team who are going to be there joining you tonight that night. So look forward to inshallah seeing you. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Welcome back to Muslim Network TV. We are reviewing 2020 from Muslim perspective. Let's talk about elections. Did election take place in 2020? Well, that is my style of humor, which doesn't get any reactions whatsoever. Tell me, which was the biggest surprise to both of you? The number of votes Trump got, or 30% Muslim voting for Trump, or the rise of good Muslims in elections, quote unquote? Which was a bigger surprise?
I don't think I was surprised. I maybe the 30% Muslims voting for Trump initially, when I read that number, it sort of surprised me. But then when I looked at the reasoning why and just sort of reflected on our community has been Republican for a very long time before they became Democrats.
When was that? At Abraham Lincoln time?
Well, I know my in-laws definitely were Republicans. Most people who own businesses tend to be used to lean towards the Republican Party until it became a very overtly Islamophobic. But I think what some of the things did not surprise me. The fact that the Uyghur Human Rights Policy Act was passed by Trump, this made such a big difference in our community. I didn't realize how many people took that as support for Muslims globally. Even though it might not, we know that it's the same president who in John Bolton's book, he talked about how the world has changed. Trump essentially told Xi Jinping he's doing the right thing by locking those Uyghurs up in camps. So it's the same president, but who also signed this historic bill in support of the Uyghurs, and that resonated in our community.
So what was your surprise? Brother Mustafaa, I know you don't get surprised by anything, do you?
I wasn't at all surprised. I mean, Muslims, I agree with Sister Hena that they've been Republican a long time. But, we haven't learned the system. We don't understand politics in America. We don't understand, as you were saying, that Muslims don't fight, but that's part of it, is that they don't fight, and they're not willing to take the sacrifice that it takes to fight in many cases. All of the people that I revere and look up to they fought for our rights. And unfortunately, they died for it too at young ages. I mean, if you look at Dr. King and Malcolm and a whole host of people that nobody knows about, most of those people that fought for civil rights for the communities that have been a benefit to everybody, half of them are not even known, and they actually had, these types of things. So I wasn't really surprised. I'm really encouraged that I see the Muslim politic becoming more involved in that way. But I think there's still a lot to understand the nature of politics in this country, and to get beyond, hoping that somebody gives you better tax breaks while you sacrifice your children's future as a Muslim in this country, and you're joining with people who could care less about this community. We need to be careful. And that's on both sides too, by the way. I'm not that impressed with the Democrats to say that the Republicans are the only ones that's the problem. So
let's talk about, was it a good idea for so many Muslims to put all the eggs in Bernie's basket? Was it good politics?
Go ahead, sis. The Bernie basket.
Well, I don't think I don't know if it really made that big a difference. The same organization that endorsed Bernie and was, that news was everywhere, endorsed Bernie, are the same people who have become gatekeepers for Muslims in the Biden administration. So you tell me if it really made a difference.
Well, let's connect another point. Biden spokesperson rebuked Linda Sarsour, and all Linda Sarsour was saying that Democratic Party is our party and be in this party and support, something like that she said. And immediately on CNN, that spokesperson says, well, Biden administration has no connection with Linda Sarsour. She doesn't speak for us and all that. And what she was speaking was in their support. I mean, isn't this a slap on the face? Or Linda Sarsour a freakish person in the Muslim community that anybody can slap her and people will not take a stand?
The Muslim, I don't know. I don't like to project like I know every Muslim, but I'm going to tell you, I just think the Muslims are scared to stand up. And Linda Sarsour, you may disagree with her position, but she's taken a position that may not be popular in some quarters, in terms of the Palestinian issue. Anybody who takes a different position other than the status quo of this country or with the Zionists or whatever is going to be maligned for doing that. Exactly. And that's what I see with her. And the fact is that if more Muslims stood in solidarity, then you would have a better outcome. But they'll take people like her and make an example out of them, and the rest of us would just shut up. That's the purpose. So yeah, it is a slap in the face.
To be fair, did Engage issued a statement of condemnation on that issue when Linda Sarsour was treated like that? Any idea?
I'm not sure. I didn't really follow the response after that. For me, I feel like this is a sign of the times that are coming. Muslims weren't the boogeyman for 4 years. We're going to become the boogeyman again. You'll see much more of this in these past four. And this is, I've argued this before, and people think I'm supporting the Republican Party when I say this. I'm not. What I'm saying is that the atmosphere in the United States was such that everybody got united against Trump. So people were part of the quote unquote resistance. So when you're in a resistance, you sort of let go of your differences of opinion amongst yourselves. But now that we're not in the quote unquote resistance anymore, those differences in opinions and those stances people have taken, very difficult stances in this country for Palestine, for Black lives, they're going to come haunt us. And I'm not saying this that we should stop standing up for what is right. You all know that is what we believe in and fight for every day. But we should be ready for more attacks on our community.
Mm-hmm.
God forbid. What do you say about Rashida, Tlaib, and Ilhan Umar? I mean, there was millions of dollars poured against them. They survived. Although their vote ratio went down somewhat, but both survived. I mean, they have taken all the stronger type of positions. They are not known for being silent. They are not known to be followers of Gandhi here. I mean, so it means, does it mean that a Muslim who take a stand is respected more by people than Muslim who do not take a stand?
I think so. I think anybody who takes a stand is respected more. And one of the things that I constantly tell Muslims is that if you think that you can just soft shoot us away, it's not going to happen until we take a stand. People may not like it at first, but all the people who have taken a stand, ultimately there's a respect that's given to them. And I think what you see now is an emerging of a community. Like I said, the community has some underpinnings where people are coming together. And I think that that's going to change. I don't know how soon it's going to change, but I think it's going to change with a new generation of folks who have actually enjoined with other folks, etc. So I think you get more respect standing up than you do laying down.
Definitely. But there's also a lot of organizing that went behind their wins. Both Rashida and Ilhan are excellent organizers. They have been in the trenches in their communities for a very, very long time. And they organized for Biden. And what I'm surprised about is that they're not being valued. And their work that they put in their communities that turned out those wins for Biden is not being highlighted in many spaces.
You're watching Muslim Network TV. This is Imam Malik Mujahid, and I'm talking with Mustafaa, Carroll, and Hena, Zuberi on Muslim Network TV. We'll be right back after these messages.
Assalamu alaikum!
I love Adam's world because it makes me learn in a fun way. That Adam has a green face and orange hair. I like this song. I like how Adam sings. I like Adam's world because it makes me happy. What? No. 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 And here's Adam and here's Anissa. Adam and his sister. Adam is a boy and he is very smart.
Download the new Adam's World app at adamsworldapp.com and let's help tomorrow's Muslims today.
Welcome back to Muslim Network TV. This is Imam Malik Mujahid, and I'm talking with Hena Zuberi and Mustafaa Carroll. Let's talk a little bit about Islamophobia in 2020. Since both of you deal with that, tell me what you're going to pick. I will give you 4 options. Which was the most Islamophobic incident of 2020? So are you ready?
Yeah.
1, Sri Lanka forcing Muslim to be cremated because of they're afraid of virus. That's the only country in the whole world which is forcing Muslim for that. Or the Indian government, blaming Muslims with the hashtag COVID jihad, that we are the one causing which one of these? And then I have 2 more options for you. European court saying it's okay to legislate against the Muslim halal food, or French presidents legislating to reform Islam. So you have 4 choices to pick. Which one you think is more Islamophobic? I don't want to give you easy answer to is Trump more Islamophobic or the French president more Islamophobic. You got this: Sri Lanka cremating Muslim, Indian Modi blaming Muslims for the virus, and European court wants to wants to allow countries to decide against the Muslim halal food, which, by the way, kosher Jewish people will also suffer under that. So all the Jewish federations in America who fund Islamophobia, and there are papers written about it, they need to listen to this. That same thing happened over there in Europe, and now you are not going to get kosher, as you know, Islamophobia going to block us, and it blocks your slaughter too. So are the French president trying to reform Islam? So which one of these 4 things?
Oh, God. I have not a clue. They already are close first.
Well, I'm biased, so I'll say what India did. Oh, and France comes into a close second. And the reason I choose that is because the repercussions of blaming Muslims for the COVID pandemic have caused a ripple effect in that region and covers the entire country. Laws are being perpetuated. We fear genocide in India in the coming years. And this act by them was a cog in that machinery. And it really, let's say, put the fuel in it, right? So it spread quickly over social media. People who might perhaps would have taken years to become Islamophobic in that country suddenly were on the wrong side of the fence because they were hearing it, because people are scared during a pandemic. And for them to think that Muslims are conducting quote unquote Corona jihad, and bringing it to, and while there were large gatherings taking place across the country of different faiths, Christians were having their gatherings, Hindus were having their gatherings. So this really, really pushed digital hate in that country. And during a pandemic, when you can't meet people, when you can't gather in places, digital hate can change the minds of countries. So that's why I think the Indian one is the most damaging. The France one comes a close second because it's liberal Islamophobia, which we sometimes overlook. So those are my two.
I gave you 4 options internationally, but in the US, it doesn't surprise when, Trump makes a public statement about Ilhan Omar and Rashida to go back to their supposed home countries, although, one of them is born here, one of them is raised here, and they are citizens of the United States. People expect things like that, and he's going to have a hold on the party, and he will continue to say these things. But what surprised me was the Chicago Police Union president saying that all Muslims deserve a bullet.
Yeah, well, I hate to say this again, but I'm not really surprised by any of this stuff because it's just using old themes that they've been using forever. I've been told to go back to Africa when I was a kid.
Now, hey, brother, you should have asked for the ticket, man.
I know, I wish they would give me one. But I've been told to go back to Africa, and now as a Muslim, I've been told to go back to Saudi Arabia. I said, well, give me a ticket for that. I can go make Hajj again or something. But none of this it's not new stuff. And that's I guess it's just new stuff played with new people. But it's not new. And we've heard these things before. It's the same things that they were saying a long time ago about everybody else. But anytime there's an out group or a reference group that they don't like, that they don't want to see in, that they use this type of sayings, and they say these types of things. So it's not really shocking to me. The thing is, it just tells me that the struggle continues. Mm-hmm. We have to continue to struggle that you only get what you fight for in this country.
Yeah, my whole mission in this show is come up with something which surprises Mustafaa, Carroll.
I have something I wanted to share.
Okay, go ahead.
We just had really great news. One of the Holy Land Five was released after serving 15 years in prison. Right. This was, as you guys know, that so Abdulrahman Oday was released from prison after serving 15 years. So this is something that the community should celebrate, and we should be asking for the release of the other 4 individuals that were in prison.
So he was released on Trump's granting him mercy?
No,
he served his time.
No, in fact, all of them, instead of those other criminals that he let out, he should let those innocent brothers that did nothing to be in there out. They should have never went to jail. Mm-hmm. We have two of them with Shukri and Ghassan. They're serving 65 years, and I know people who've killed folks and are out in less than the time that they were supposed to be in there.
Hey, brother Mustafaa, you're saying you know people who kill people?
Well, I know people who were tried for murder and got out without they never served that length of time. And these guys did nothing. I sat in that trial for 2 years.
But isn't that the power of pro-Israeli people in this country, that just because these people, what are these people, Palestinians, or they were helping Palestinians?
No, I think they're all Palestinian.
Yeah, they're all Palestinian.
Yeah, if they weren't Palestinian, there wouldn't have been a trial.
Okay, so this is where the point is, and that power continues as the Israeli have a deal with the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain and Morocco. And they're calling it a peace deal. I mean, I definitely consider it a deal. I don't know about the peace deal.
Unless they mean a piece of the land over there. They're not talking about peace like true peace. And
peace with a different spelling, I guess.
Yeah, the piece of the property, the taking of the Palestinian homes and all that type of stuff.
So have Arab abandoned the Palestinian cause?
Has who?
Have Arabs abandoned the cause for Palestinian freedom?
Have they tried to do something? I think in the past there has been, some Arab involvement in it. I still think there is, but it's not like what it was. It's not that strong. We that issue, if we can solve it here in this country, then we'll start to see that subside, or it may get better. But it's not going to just be fixed because we speak truth to power and get out in the street and this type of thing. We have to do something political to change that issue.
Arab governments definitely have sold out the Palestinian brothers and sisters.
Okay.
The people on the ground, I think, still have love and support for their brothers and sisters. But there's a massive propaganda campaign going on. You see it in the UAE. No one's allowed to speak about Palestine or criticize the deal. They'll come to your house. They'll take away your phones.
Oh, these are just, dictatorship or tyrannies or whatever you want to call. These are not free societies. But let's talk about few other Ummah-related issues. I mean, Uyghur Muslims are sitting in the largest concentration camps since the Nazis. And we have difficulty moving Muslim countries. Why Muslim countries are silent about it?
If you want to take a stab at that?
No, he would just say that I'm not surprised.
Right word.
Do you think that the burden on Muslim community in America continue to increase to speak up for these people?
Yes, I think we have a tremendous burden on our shoulders because we need to have this struggle pushed out into the Muslim world, and we need to take leadership on this. We have been taking leadership. Canadian Muslims have followed. UK Muslims are following. Their parliament just opened up a commission. Mashallah, things are happening, but we just need to take that leadership and push for it, regardless of what our governments do. The Uyghur genocide is the biggest issue facing the Muslim Ummah today. Anybody tells me otherwise, they need to come and spend some time with our campaign and really learn with what is happening. The fact that millions are being used as slaves. These are enslaved people. They're picking cotton in the fields. And this is one thing that our Black American brothers and sisters have told me, like they feel like they are now abolitionists for the Uyghur people. There were times where they needed abolitionists, and our Black American volunteers who volunteer for the Save the Uyghur campaign, this is what they say: it's time that we are abolitionists for the our Uyghur brothers and sisters.
Yeah, I totally agree, and also agree. But we're going to have to be really strategic, and we're going to have to plan ahead. We got to think about what positions where we need to be and how to change the trajectory of what's going on. Because it is one of the most heinous things that I've heard in modern day. The oppression of the Uyghurs and on so many fronts. But if we change things in this country, then you'll see things change. Otherwise, I mean, we're supposed to be the leaders of the free world, even though we've had our stumbles forever. But we have to change it here. We have to continue to fight for it. And if we don't, then nothing's going to change. I don't see it changing without that.
So responsibilities of Muslim Americans continue to increase while our empowerment in the society, our alliances and the coalitions and the networking has not increased to that level. So have you seen in 2020 any Muslims being, good part of the coalition and alliances? And we'll talk about Black Lives Matter probably in tomorrow's show. But do you feel Muslim were a good part of that? Are we developing connections and developing synergies and things like that, which will help the Muslim minority have more influence on foreign policy and public policy in the United States?
Go ahead, Sister Hena. I don't want to jump in on everything.
I think we could do a lot better. I think we had a great movement building up with the Women's March before it was hijacked. There were other coalitions that we are a part of. Muslims are a part of. Muslim Advocates is doing a great job. CARE is doing a great job. Our organizations are coming to that maturity point where they're realizing that they cannot do this alone. But I feel like, especially the COVID response, putting Muslims on the stage like that was, but I do think we still have a long way to go. We really, really do. We haven't learned lessons, and I don't know what it's going to take. It didn't take a pandemic, and Trump couldn't get us to there. So I don't know what it's going to take. With genocides happening against Muslims around the world, we still are not. We haven't learned that lesson. So it's hoping for a great 2021 where we take this lesson of coalition building forward.
Yeah, I think it's going to take a strong core. I don't look for the majority of the Muslims to do this. And it's never been like that with any of the other movements. It's always a core that starts it, that fights for it, and then the masses will join if they see some momentum gaining. But it takes a strong core of Muslims and others to actually deal with these things. We've seen a lot of success. When I was in Houston, we had formed a really strong coalition to the point that anytime something happened with the Muslim community, I had our coalition partners calling me and saying, what they would call me and ask me, what can we do now? And so we're seeing that is changing. But like Sister Hena said, it's a whole lot more that we need to do. We're still in the infancy stages of activism in general.
Let's discuss a little bit about this Zionist and Engage thing. It was a big thing this year that a Muslim group who had probably more than $1 million put into the politics of organizing Muslim. Nobody has, to my knowledge, have done that much. They hired a whole lot of staff. They were going around, but they were closely allied with ADL and Jewish, what is it called, the American Jewish Committee, and visited Israel and these things. So there are, so essentially it, and internally in Muslim community, they were, the leaders were either Ismailis or supporting Ahmadis. I mean, they have full freedom of religion, but Muslim community, more those people celebrated, it seems more Muslim community withdrew from them, and public statement and documents and criticism came out. So don't you think the people who are working with the Jewish community in some way are also grounded within the Muslim community? I mean, what type of balance are you looking? If somebody is not working in a Palestine cause and is closer to the Jewish community, does that decision makes them a bad person in the Muslim community?
Well, I think we have to really start to, I think as Muslims, we have to not be so willing to give up our struggles or to give up the foundations of things that we know need to be done just to be liked by other folks. And one of the problems that I saw with that, I don't know that we need to, put people out of the community or that type of thing. But one of the problems that I see with that is that you got to examine what these organizations stand for. Like if you look at the ADL listed CARE as one of the 10 enemies to the state of Israel for no apparent reason other than because they saw it being, one of the strong organizations or whatever you want to call it. And for us to take a position outside of that and go to the ADL, in fact, my own personal experience is that we weren't even allowed in Houston to be on a program that was about Islamophobia because the ADL was on it and they wouldn't come. And I was told that. So, when we take those types of positions, I have a real big issue with it. Now, whether or not I would never say that they're not Muslims. I might say they're misguided. I might disagree vehemently with their position because I know what those organizations do. And
of course, faith is between individuals and God Almighty. None of us have a say in this matter. Mm-hmm. I wish I can continue. I mean, this was an important issue, but now we have come to the conclusion. And I wish you both a more successful 2021. In which you are less surprised than this time. And Muslim community is large. Muslim community has many opinions and many things. But I think Muslim community also is together on who we are. And by and large, if people do things which will a community feels are crossing the line, you are developing yourself into a peripheral group. You can claim to represent Muslim, but you will lose that positioning. I mean, Muslim community, Shias parade in Sunni mosque. I have seen Sunni children sending their children to Shia school. While there are, in the world, they are fighting in certain countries because of the politics of things. So Muslims are open people, very inclusive and all sort of people, but they also are smart enough to see when somebody is just, trying to be a quote unquote good Muslim, to be in the good book of somebody while taking a risk with the mainstream Muslim community. So thank you so much for both of you, Sister Hena Zuberi, Editor-in-Chief of Muslim Matters, and Brother Mustafaa Carroll, a long-time fighter for Muslim causes. Thank you so much. And thank you, Rashida and Ilhan and Dr. Abdul for producing today's show. You're watching Muslim Network TV. We're there 24/7 on Galaxy 19 satellite throughout North America, Mexico, USA, Canada, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Roku TV. And of course, you can simply download us on your iPhone and Android by typing Muslim Network TV on wherever you purchase your apps, and it's free. Our website is muslimnetwork.tv. Stay tuned for other programming. Peace and salam.
Wow.